Country alternative vibes with gravel in his throat, closeness by Dermot Kennedy. And just then, with even more gravel and passion, it's the Teskey brothers with So Caught Up. Tom, what have you got?
I've got goosebumps, man. I love that Teskey Brothers song so much.
I knew you'd like that one.
Yeah. No, honestly, the first song was Gangster. I just, I don't know. Me and Matt had a big argument at our staff parties.
You guys okay?
3 or 4 weeks
I don't know
ago.
if we're going to recover, man.
And I just have to stay strong on this one. But anyway, we'll get back to our esteemed guest here, man. So, yeah, Gold Coast, like obviously a bit troubled time, like fuck me, like I'm not really sure if I love footy and want to exist in this environment. How are the boys though? Did you make some good buddies? Did you love the actual city? Like it's a pretty fun place.
It was great. It was the best. I'd do it. I mean, the situation I'd say, like I didn't go back to where I was feeling about my football career, but in terms of like a one-off experience in life, like, oh yeah, it was great. It was great. So, I mean, putting 40 18-year-olds on the Gold Coast was always going to be the worst idea ever. Like we were celebrating 10-goal losses like you wouldn't believe. Like Mermaid Tav have never seen like that many people roll in where they should be deflated. But like, mate,
single digits,
great
baby.
effort, boys. Only 65 points.
Yeah,
that's sick. So they were great. Like lifelong friends there, and you know a mix of older blokes as well. But it's been well publicised. Like everyone was pretty loose.
Yeah.
Like there were some genuine weapons getting around, and like as an 18-year-old trying to work your way through how to be a footballer, like just not the environment for it.
You would have had, Carmichael Hunt.
Carmichael Hunt was the scariest guy. Campbell was like, you just saw him on TV, like this guy's the angriest guy in the world. And fair enough, he was the angriest guy in the world. Like anytime a teammate breaks another teammate's jaw in LA, like, okay, this is pretty scary.
Oh, wow.
Remember that story?
I do remember some murmur, but like all of those stories, someone does a pretty good job at like just shutting it down and making it a bit of a murmur and not really releasing the details. What he smoked something.
We just Maisie, we just couldn't. I feel like every year something just happened. So we had like, again, putting those kids in that environment, there's always going to be something every season. Like we had the Thailand footy trip. Where we went to full moon party and boys got arrested. And then we had like a DUI after an Australia Day party where like all the execs were bringing slabs over, like, hey boys, you deserve this. And then like 12 hours later, people like driving home, getting DUIs. And then next day doing recovery sessions. Then like, we'd have the Campbell Brown and the Maisie incident. It just felt like things were always, like Carmichael incidents, like things were always happening at the club.
Up in the Goldie.
Up on the Goldie. So it was very dangerous. I don't know how he did this amongst all of that happening. Gary Ablett just remained like laser focused on being Gaz.
Yeah, really.
Like
he's an interesting sort of cat, not your standard type of footballer that was with all you boys.
No, he definitely wasn't. No, he wasn't at the Mermaid Tav, believe it or not. It's surprising, but he's obviously he's the greatest player that people have seen. But like when you see him in the flesh and up close and train with him, you're like, this guy is on a different level to everyone. Like I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah, so he was just completely first by a mile.
First by a mile. So he went up there and his mindset would have been like, these 18-year-old kids, no shit. Like I'm going to carry this team, so I may as well do it how I want to do it. So he'd do his own programs. He'd do the warm-up with us, first 2 drills, and then he'd just leave. That's all he needed week to week.
Just to keep the legs ticking over.
Keep the legs going, like, and when he's doing these drills, so he'd come in for 2 important drills. So we're doing like match sim for 5 minutes on a Thursday main session for a Saturday game. He would not get out of his runners and would do runners like the match sim in his runners. And this guy is bursting out of packs in runners.
No way.
360s, fend offs, like cutting the grass. I'm like, how are we supposed to deal with that? Like that's just next level. And then, running his own program, he'd pick his own gym times. Like.
Yeah, so let's say you're at work 40 hours a week, right? How many of those is Gaz within 40 metres of you, like, and with the boys?
So if we're there, we'd probably see him for 5 hours.
Wow.
He had his own program, and it obviously worked because he played some good football up there. But as I said, he'd do half a session. If he felt like doing a full session, he would, but that was rare. Do his own recovery. He would go to instead of having the physio times, he'd do his own physio time. He'd go home. We'd do gym. When we leave, he'd come do his own gym.
Oh.
Like his own lunch was by himself. We're eating like the catered lunch. He's eating raw broccolis. Right. Like he was
Did he ever acknowledge the distance, or he was just like...
It came up a little bit, I think, as, we started getting a little bit serious in our 3rd or 4th year. People were like, oh, Gaz, maybe it's a good idea to maybe bring the boys with you on this. Like, you can't do it by yourself. But just stuck at it himself. Yeah, he's like, nah, fuck this. If you see what I'm doing out there, like, I don't need to be associated with these guys at the Mermaid Tav. Like, no, absolutely not.
Man, and then you mentioned it was always for you going to be a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
How did Carlton happen? That was next up.
Yeah, I mean, Carlton came because I completely got to the end of the road at the Gold Coast and was like, okay, well, I've spent 5 years here playing football. I'm no good.
And 5 years at the Mermaid Tavern.
5, just absolutely drank all the beer at the Mermaid Tav.
Drove home.
Yeah, and I've been doing that.
We do not condone drink driving on Past Hills podcast. Sorry, man.
And it was like, okay, this is clearly the end of the road. So I got delisted. Like, this is it. And then just, again, being that Pick 10, you're always going to get an opportunity where you probably shouldn't have.
Being a 200 plus as well.
200
like
plus.
being a big boy, you get an extra couple of years, don't you?
Yeah, you go into this. Always going to happen. It's how big men work in the system. And then Brisbane, Port and Carlton came. And at this time, I was like, okay, I know that this was never a long play. And I've been so comfortable this whole time. What's the most uncomfortable thing I can do here? Like, to try and break the shackles of how I'm feeling about my life and football. And at that time, the most uncomfortable thing was just packing everything up and going to Melbourne to play for Carlton. And that's the only reason behind the decision.
Wow, and you're actively thinking that at the time. Like,
Yeah.
right, here I am, I'm probably, 22. I can go back to Adelaide and do my thing. I can stay, like, I'm going to actively put myself in a position of growth pretty much.
I was in that real, you've nailed the mindset of, like, I just have to be better of being a human and, like, make some grown up decisions here. Like, why are you coasting? You got out of a place there where you could have coasted to then be in a new, better environment to do the exact same thing with your mindset. Like, you have to try and make something out of this, even though it's going to be totally uncomfortable, not going to be natural. Why wouldn't you be, doing this?
Did you voice that with anyone close to you, or you just, like, internally you just drove it yourself?
Internally, yeah. Internally the whole time. It's like,
Crazy,
this just has to happen. Like, it might just blow up, but let's just do the 2 years at Carlton. And if that doesn't work out, I can look back at my career and be like, look, played 5 years at the Suns. For whatever happened up there, it just happened. Form, didn't want to be there. Injuries, that cocktail of just absolute shit. But for those 2 years, I can be like, I actually tried at Carlton at a big club in the pressure cooker, which is Melbourne football. I can stop playing football and be happy with that. So this Carlton era was like, this will be me growing, hopefully, to try and be better.
Wow. And so it says 2 years, you said?
2 years there.
And what year was that?
2016 and 2017.
So who was at the club then? Was Juddy there?
Juddy had left. Mick Malthouse had left, and it was Brennan Bolton's first year.
Yeah, okay. So it was pretty much rebuild type of vibes?
Full rebuild. So it was Harry Mackay, Wiedering, Sauce's first year as well. So you're in a spot where it's like, as I said, I want to be better and maybe try and make something out of this career. Well, this is probably the perfect place to do that, given that they need to play some youngish players.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, as a ruckman, in my prime, I guess, if I get to where I want to get. So that was the plan.
And did you bond with those crew? Like, how was the 2 team environments compared to, like, Gold Coast, older lads, crazy that, let's say they're at a stage of their career where they're going into, a pretty speculative new team up in the Goldie.
Yeah.
Then there's, like, start of rebuild. Everyone's 18. Like, did you take on any kind of mentor role that young kids you bonded with? Like, what was the vibe?
It was just like, and moving back to Melbourne in the football scene, Big Four club, it was like, whoa, like, this is what it is, football. Like, at the Suns, we were in demandable sheds, like a tin shed. There was nothing up there early days. You're literally just roughing it. And then to go to Carlton and be like, whoa, like, all the fans know the VFL players. Like, they're going to love me. They're going to love me at Preston City Oval. So at 9 o'clock in the morning. So it was just, it was cool. The boys were great as well. Like, just, as you said, we're all in the same age, all trying to, I guess you don't want to buy into the media of the AFL, but everyone's saying we're shit kickers, to the mindset of, like, let's not be shit kickers anymore. Let's try and do something. And for the first year I was there, like, it felt pretty good. Like, we were winning some games. It was Brendan Bolton's first year, and the Blues were, their famous tagline, if they know we're coming. It felt like maybe we were coming.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best I've ever felt in my AFL career, was that first year at Carlton. Form-wise, body-wise, mindset, like, felt like I generally belonged.
And were you playing ones?
played I played a month in a row. So did my Achilles at the start of the first season at Carlton.
Oh.
And then came back and played 4 games and then did a hip.
Oh, no.
So, but even throughout that, like the demons of like the Gold Coast demons weren't there. Like I was very much like determined, like, okay, after this Achilles, I'll get back. After this hip, I'll get back. So I felt like I was just improving as a person, like maturing a lot quicker than I was in the Gold Coast.
Yeah, right. Well,
I mean, Mermaid Tav not being there helped. Because, I mean, I felt really good and it felt like I was coming out of this angry, scared hole that I put myself in.
sort of rejected. I don't like this. You're embracing footy for the first time, embracing the city. It sounds like you're having fun in the city.
Yeah.
Where were you living? What was the go?
Yeah, I was in Richmond. Didn't find a Mermaid Tab equivalent. Nothing would ever be that joint. But in Richmond, so in the bubble, embracing like the city itself, the football culture, which I know everyone tries to steer clear of, and I don't blame at all because it can get crazy. But I kind of lent into it.
Yeah.
I was like, may as well here, may as well.
Did you find like, and this is more of a personal almost question, like people, you're 100 million times more recognizable here, and people, would they stop you and be like Orange and Dan and like, did you kind of become public persona at that point?
Yeah, I mean, not your level, but probably like a little bit. You just notice like people do take notice of whether you play one game for a big Melbourne club or you play 50 or 100 or 150. Like people will look at you differently. The best example is Gaz on the Gold Coast could just walk around and no one would stop him. And not one person will ask for a photo. Then you put Carmichael Hunt up there and it's like, okay, wow, this guy's a god here. Let's get photos of him. But Gaz was literally walking around Broadbeach just doing what he wants.
Really?
Yeah.
So obviously NRL state, Carmichael Hunt rolls into a nightclub. Everyone on the floor wants to get a photo.
Gaz could be on the dance floor just sculling like double black Smirnoffs and nothing at all, you know? Like, but that's, and then again, like you said, like when I came here, I was like, oh, that's got a bit of feeling like people know football here. And that to a thing, that was addictive, being like, oh, well, if I play more games, maybe they'll know me more, or maybe you just pitch your identity to football. So you're like, I can grow this thing if I start being good at football.
Yeah, you can tangibly see like the cause and effects between like, here's my career and here's like how people treat me almost. Yeah. And I don't know, I probably took it there because I've noticed coming to Melbourne and everyone says, oh, Perth's, big footy state, 2-team town. And, without getting myself in too much trouble, the media in Perth is absolutely UK tabloid, like embarrassing, shameful.
Yeah, I've gone after them massively.
It's just like horrible and stupid. And so it seems like a big deal and everyone's like, whoa, man, how you going? And like, how is it? And you kind of perceive it to be, but the actual people themselves, it's a bit like the Smirnoff double blacks with Gaz on the D floor. Like they go down a treat and no one really actually cares that much / would take a photo of you. And if they do, it's like, hey man, I love you. Can we quickly get a photo or a signature? And like, it's like personal interaction and then gone. But most of the people are just like, oh, it just didn't notice you.
Whatever.
Where I've noticed in Melbourne, there's probably less of the like, hey, here's my son, can we please get a photo? Yeah. But there's more like every single person in the entire establishment like stops what they're doing and stares at you. Yeah. And it's like, it's kind of intimidating. Being
confronting.
Like, wow, okay. Everyone in this whole city like knows sport, knows football. And I've again learnt, which I love about Melbourne, it's such a big sporting culture. F1, tennis, footy, people just love sport here. And I reckon it's super, super cool that the whole culture's geared around that. But for me, and I imagine for you, it's like such a different thing to Perth or for Gold Coast or to Adelaide.
Yeah, crazy. It's just a bubble. Like it's a big bubble and like, it's great that probably now I get it more so with the being outside of football side of thing and doing the podcast where I feel that way more than you're playing it. People do eyeball you when you walk in places, and that's very like you can't describe that feeling of like feeling like people are watching you wherever you are go. And Gold Coast wasn't that at all. Where you come to Melbourne, it's like, okay, are these people out to get me? Like, is there something I don't know that's happening here, or like you've got to?
Do I have a head full of blue hair or something?
It's like I've got blue hair, which we haven't really shown yet.
Yeah,
so that
we should have do the Band-Aid.
Yeah, there's the Band-Aid. So
there's the timestamp.
Yeah, so there you are, guys. That's it. Probably should be the blue hair.
This was 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I quickly wanted to get back. So you put all this mindset change and all this effort in at Carlton.
Yeah,
and injuries happen and it doesn't go your way. How is that? for you?
Yeah, I mean, pretty dark. As I said, like I always had the first year at Carlton, I had the mindset of I'll get back, it's fine. I've progressed as a person. Like I feel like I'm a better person here.
Yeah.
And then it got to 2017. I was like, okay, now I can definitely see the writing on the wall. Like I can know what
That was after the hit.
After the hip.
When you say hip, are we talking dislocation? Are we talking
Nah,
labrum tear?
I had
Are we talking-
the labrum tear off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like not a big one, but enough to annoy you.
Enough to hurt.
Especially after an Achilles. Like I'm back, another setback.
After my Achilles. So I do that, and 2017 was just pushing shit uphill at Carlton. Like I knew what they were doing. Bolts was big on like, we're going to don the youth. Like he kept saying bamboo, like we're going to plant the bamboo. And I was like, what the fuck is this guy mean? Like, I just play, mate, I don't care about bamboo. And he's like, you know what bamboo does?
Touch on that and then let you come in. You're fucking be right up there.
He goes, you know what happens to bamboo? You plant the bamboo, and for the first year, you see nothing. The second year, you see nothing. Third year, nothing. Fourth year, nothing. Fifth year, through the roof. And he goes, Harry Mackay's our bamboo. Jacob Reading's our bamboo. Jack Silvani's our bamboo. I was like, mate, they haven't played more than one game. Like, I'm ready to go right now. But that's where they were at. I knew that. So, yeah, that last year was just shit house. Just shit house. But it was a real closing of a chapter. But and again, you know, as I said, I was feeling better about being football. I kind of felt like I was a better person for being in Carlton, for trying to be a better person.
Mate, that's really cool. I feel
Yeah,
like, again, it's probably a perfect little segue
Yeah.
into showing us some
song.
personal growth songs in Melbourne.
I do. Do better, Absol.
Oh, beautiful, man. This is PTA. We'll be right back.